Isn't it interesting that Paul has not offered any proof for his hypothesis, for his reason for why things are as such? All he's done was attack mine. That's all he's done. He's attacked sense experience. He's played with words, and he's good at that. Trust me, I've known Paul for a while. He's very, very good at that. And he's playing with how I look at logic. Look, it's real simple. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill with logic. When I said logic is based on me and this podium, what I mean is that it's based on A equals A. Look at the law of logic. A equals A. Everything has an identity. These individual singularities, like I said, I use the word singularity for a reason. These singularities can't double themselves and be that singularity and that singularity at the same time. All those, the law of non-contradiction and the law of excluded middle are all based on the first law, and that is based on a singularity. Where did I read that? I read it in a book. It's material. It was written on paper. Laws of logic. I can't see the laws of logic. Well, you are logic. You exist. You have an identity. This has an identity. You're seeing the principles of logic. Who cares about all the other logic? What's the big deal? What is it saying? You saying anything special? No. It's all based on me. All based on a singularity. And I did learn that through sense experience. When you talk about an aspect of reality such as logic or morality, you have a phenomenon, like I said earlier. And explaining why these are such, or giving some sort of accolades to these things that you think are special. Just because your worldview says that these are incredible or these are some sort of interesting aspects of reality, doesn't mean I share it. What is that, reification? When you make something out that's kind of fluffy and abstract and you try to make it into some concrete position, great, who cares? What does it say about your God? Where is your God in all this? So what? You have logic, it depends on identity, all those things are great. Where is your God in all this? Real simple. When the theist says that this world displays God's presence, or something is so fascinating that God must have done it, what that is an argument from ignorance or incredulity. It's saying that it's like a divine fallacy. This is so cool. This is so interesting. This is so intricate. This could only be the case if God did it. That is not telling us that God did it by proof. You're only asserting it. And if you infer your propositions that you use, your premises that you use in your conclusions that support your conclusion, those have to be inferred from evidence as well. And that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm saying, where is the evidence for you're even inferring that this is special or phenomenal? You haven't shown us any evidence. You showed us the Bible. Well, you know what? The Bible was made by men, wasn't it? Look in front of your Bible. They'll say copyright, printing press, right? The Bible is words, letters, written on paper. What's the big deal? You have the burden of proof of showing us that there is a God behind it. We know for a fact right now, absolutely, that at least the Bible was the work of man. But that's only one step. You have an extra step. Show us the divine handprint. Let's go into prophecy. Let's talk about it. Let's talk theological issues. I'm willing to do it. Show me the divine handprint of the God. Show me that the Bible couldn't be the work only of man. Show me how it's logically impossible that man couldn't come up with this. And then add that God to it. You're inferring from the Bible, but you hold the Bible by faith? And then you want to say that my worldview is wrong? You haven't proven my worldview wrong, and you haven't proven yours right. You've only asserted it, and you can keep asserting it over and over, and I can do it too, but that doesn't mean that yours is the truth. You have no way to demonstrate it. You have no way to show that the God is responsible, of the Bible, that is responsible for any phenomenon, whether design, which is, the umbrella which is over the tag. You have no evidence other than appealing to the Bible based on your presuppositions, just like I had before I appealed to the Bible.
Well, it's pretty easy to stand up here and just say, oh, you've asserted, you've asserted, you've asserted. It sounds like rhetoric being used when you don't know how to or want to deal with the arguments. I've repeatedly given arguments, and I haven't heard them quoted, responded to. I've just heard things like, logic is fluff. What's the big deal about logic? You're asserting. Now let's put things together within a worldview. Is it wrong to assert? Who cares if I get up here and assert? Why should I have to prove things? What's the big deal about proof? What's the big deal about logic? How could Derek even know any proof that I offered? He said proof is something experience gained by particulars, but it's never absolute. So I could never absolutely prove God according to him, because I could never say, now do you know God exists? For sure, he would say no, because it's never absolute. But does he know that for absolute? Does he know that absolutely for sure? No, he doesn't know that. So how could he say that he doesn't know that, or that knowledge is never absolute, but he knows it? He couldn't know that. He could not know for sure that it was never absolute. That is, he says, well, I'm going to write the laws of logic on paper. There, see, that's material. The laws of logic are on the paper. Now, if we're really going to be serious about this and tough-minded, we're going to say, now, are you saying that that is the law of logic? He said that that is the law of logic. I'm going to show you how it's material. I wrote it down. So now I could rip it up, and we would destroy the laws of logic. No more laws of logic. Whichever law he wrote down, I ripped it up. Since that was the law, then we can't use it anymore. No, that was just a particular instance of a universal law. It's not at all acceptable to say when you write it down, that is the law, because I could burn it. Can we burn the laws of logic? Can we burn modus tollens? Can we all go to the beach and make sure you bring the logic for the bonfire, because we're going to burn it? Logic can't be burnt. It's not a material thing. Another thing, I feel sorry for everyone. I must apologize that everyone came out here to the debate tonight, because he's a materialist, and if it was just according to his materialist worldview, what he says is determined by the laws of physics operating on his body. What I say is determined by the laws of physics, and everyone in the audience is just going to believe what they believe, not based on the truth or the inference of the arguments, but because the laws of physics operated on them in such a way that they believed whichever one they believed. So, for example, let's say I took a Mountain Dew can and a Pepsi can. I shook it up. I shook both of them up and opened them. Now we have the laws of physics working on them. They're fizzing out stuff. So basically what we have here is Mr. Sansone's fizzing atheistically, and I'm up here and I'm fizzing theistically. So we're just up here fizzing. Would anyone go to the Mountain Dew can or the Pepsi can and say, look, the Mountain Dew can is just destroying that Pepsi can in an argument? That Mountain Dew can is fizzing truth. Can you just see the... No. This is not at all how our beliefs operate, how we operate in the world. So you've all came here tonight, and basically you're not free to choose what, the arguments. You're not going to come listen to our arguments and sit back and reflect on the inferences. You're just going to do whatever the laws of physics determined you to do. Also, he's a behaviorist. So we're all something similar to minor birds. We have a person giving you these external indicators and telling you externally, Polly want a cracker and such, and then you just blurt things out. Is that how we do language? We just blurt things out, it's just behavioristically, or do we have rational reasons for why we believe things? What about behaviorism and the creativity of children? Children are great. They refute determinists all the time because of their creativity. You hear hit ball bat, hit ball bat. These repeated external indicators or external forces, using Derek's terminology, coming into the child, and then he just outputs what he hears. That's behaviorism. So we have hit ball bat, hit ball bat. That's how the child learns it. But what about the creative child who comes up and says, hit atheist with a bat? Creativity can't account, or behaviorism can't account for the creativity of language. So we can't account for language. We can't account for reasoning and the freedom to accept our beliefs. We can't account for the laws of logic. There are things you can write on paper and just destroy. So we've destroyed laws of logic now. If I wanted to really win the debate, if I was losing really bad, I would go and find all the laws of logic in the world and destroy them all, and then Derek could never argue against me. He couldn't use the laws of logic to refute me. So Again, he says, I'm not arguing. My argument is, if you reject Christianity, you have to reject the laws of logic. You have to reject morality. You have to reject rationality. In order to know anything, you have to presuppose my worldview. That's the proof of my worldview, is that in order to prove something, you have to presuppose that it is true. If you deny that it's true, then you deny the laws of logic, morality, and all sorts of other areas of our rational lives.